A boy who stuttered so badly that classmates mocked him as an alien, grew up to become the most universally loved comedian on the planet. But behind the silent chaos of Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson was living a truth almost no one knew. His stutter vanished only when he performed and returned the moment the camera stopped. Every episode left him emotionally drained. Every laugh came at a cost. And now at 70 years old, Rowan Atkinson is finally admitting what fans have suspected for decades about the character that made him famous, the pain he carried in silence, and why he always felt like a fraud behind the smile. Let's dive in. Rowan Sebastian Atkinson was born on January 6, 1955 in the quiet town of Conet in County Durham. He was the youngest of 4 boys, though tragedy struck before he even formed memories. His eldest brother, Paul, died in infancy, leaving Rowan with 2 surviving brothers, including Rodney, who later became an economist and nearly led the UK Independence Party. Life on the family farm was calm and disciplined, a world far removed from the silly, chaotic characters Rowan would one day create. Around age 5, Rowan developed a severe stutter that made speaking difficult and school unbearable. At Durham Chester School, the bullying was relentless. Teachers remembered him as a shy boy with an expressive face and a speech problem. Classmates went further, mocking him and even calling him an alien. One of the boys at that school was a young Tony Blair, who later recalled how harsh the teasing could be. But something remarkable happened. Whenever Rowan stepped on a stage, his stutter vanished. Performing unlocked a confidence he didn't have anywhere else, turning his greatest struggle into the foundation of his future talent. Despite the bullying, Rowan excelled academically. He earned top grades in science and went on to study electrical and electronic engineering at Newcastle University, graduating in 1975. Everyone assumed he was headed for a career in engineering, not comedy. He continued his studies at the Queen's College, Oxford, pursuing a master's degree and beginning work on a PhD, though he eventually abandoned it. His professor later said he didn't stand out in class, but on stage, he transformed completely. Oxford was where the real shift happened. Rowan joined the drama club and a review group called the Etc., where he met a young writer named Richard Curtis. Curtis remembered seeing a quiet, unassuming Rowan during rehearsals until Rowan performed. His sketches, including a famous driving routine and a synchronized mime and speaking act, stunned the room. In 1976, Rowan performed with the Oxford Review at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, his first major national stage. The audience loved him, and the engineer who once hid in the back of classrooms suddenly knew exactly where he belonged. Even as he finished his master's degree and published his thesis in 1978, the pull toward comedy grew stronger. Engineering never left him. He would later become one of the earliest celebrity adopters of hybrid and electric cars, but his heart had moved elsewhere. The stage had become his true home, and Rowan Atkinson was finally stepping into the life he was born to live. Rowan's first real breakthrough came in 1979 with a BBC Radio 3 series called The Atkinson People, where he played an entire cast of eccentric fictional characters. Richard Curtis helped write it. Griff Rhys-Jones produced it. And critics praised Rowan's originality, even though almost no one heard the show. It aired in a slot where comedy usually failed. But it proved something important. Rowan had a rare, unmistakable talent that was ready to break out. But between 1978 and 1979, things were rough. The BBC rejected him repeatedly. Executives didn't understand his kind of comedy, and Rowan began to feel hopeless. His stutter, especially bad during interviews and auditions, only made things worse. He even thought about abandoning acting altogether and going back to engineering. But then he noticed a pattern. When he performed as a character, the stutter vanished. That discovery changed everything. He realized he didn't need to speak flawlessly as Rowan Atkinson. The characters could do the speaking for him. During this difficult period, he worked closely with friends like Angus Deaton, whom he had met at Oxford. Angus often played the serious straight man in their radio sketches, giving Rowan the perfect setup for his strange physical, almost silent comedy. This partnership helped him grow without the pressure of being on camera while television was still turning him away. In 1979, Rowan returned to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival at age 24. He even helped build the stage for the new Wireworks Theatre. His show was unusual, mostly silent, inspired by old Buster Keaton films. Some audience members walked out, but others recognized pure brilliance. His expressive face and physical control were unlike anything they had seen. That performance put him on the radar of the right producers. By 1980, Rowan was trying TV again. His pilot, Canned Laughter, aired in 1979 and featured an early version of the character who would one day become Mr. Bean. The show didn't get picked up and auditions remained stressful. His stutter often came back whenever he had to be himself. But he started understanding how to beat it. He disappeared completely into his characters. And then in 1980, the BBC finally took a chance on him with Not the 9 O'Clock News. The show's launch was delayed because of a general election. And when it finally aired, almost nobody watched. Critics hated it. One even called it the worst half-hour of TV ever made. But the BBC controller believed in it and ordered a second series anyway. And that one decision changed Rowan's life. Rowan worked alongside Pamela Stephenson, Mel Smith, and Griff Rhys-Jones, becoming part of a team that would reshape British comedy. Behind the scenes, tensions ran high. After the first series, Chris Longam was fired and Rowan tried unsuccessfully to fight for him. Budget cuts followed and the show became increasingly difficult to produce. But it was also during this period that Rowan's focus, perfectionism, and unmistakable style began to shine. Everything changed with a single sketch. Gerald the Gorilla. Rowan in a gorilla suit delivered a furious, brilliantly stupid outburst that instantly became iconic. Wild, I was absolutely livid. The sketch went viral in a pre-in world, winning awards and turning Rowan into a national sensation. Scientists even jokingly began referring to groups of baboons as a flange, just as the sketch did. The success set the stage for Blackadder, Mr. Bean, and the global stardom that followed. In 1981, Rowan experienced an unexpected twist in his career. Not the 9 O'Clock News released a comedy song called I Like Trucking for the album Hedgehog Sandwich, and it became a surprise hit. Audiences loved it, partly because Rowan wasn't just acting. He actually drove the truck in the sketch himself thanks to his real Class 1 lorry license. The song charted, appeared on BBC compilations, and proved that Rowan wasn't limited to sketches. He could perform across formats, from singing to physical comedy. But by 1982, the shine had worn off. The show ended, not because of low ratings, but because the cast was simply burned out. The non-stop pace, constant writing pressure, and emotional strain had pushed everyone to the edge, especially Rowan, whose anxiety had always lingered beneath the surface. Rather than chase more fame, they walked away at the height of their success. Pamela Stephenson left for Hollywood. Rowan went straight into Blackadder and Mel Smith and Griff Rhys-Jones built their own series. It was a rare moment in television, stars choosing their well-being over money. Then came Rowan's next gamble, The Blackadder, which premiered on June 15, 1983. He co-created it with Richard Curtis, imagining an alternate history where Richard III survived. Rowan starred as the scheming Prince Edmund, filmed on massive sets at Alnwick Castle. The production was expensive, plagued by bad weather, and nearly cancelled because of the enormous budget. Critics were lukewarm. Only one thing saved it, the International Emmy. It won. That award convinced the BBC to try again, but with strict budget cuts and a simpler format. Those changes transformed everything. By 1986, Blackadder 2 premiered with a new tone. Ben Elton joined the writing team, bringing sharper comedy and tighter pacing. The cast changed, too. Miranda Richardson's unhinged Queenie became an instant fan favorite, and guest stars like Tom Baker stole scenes with unforgettable performances. Edmund evolved into a razor-tongued schemer, while Baldrick shifted into the dim-witted sidekick everyone adored. At first, critics complained. One even named Rowan Wally of the Week. But audiences quickly realized this version was better, the humor was smarter, the characters richer, and the chemistry electric. Blackadder had finally found its true identity, and Rowan Atkinson was steadily becoming a legend. When Blackadder Goes Forth arrived in 1989, it turned into something no one had anticipated. Set in the trenches of World War I, the final season combined sharp comedy with an emotional and unflinching look at the futility of war. Rowan portrayed Captain Blackadder alongside Hugh Laurie's cheerful Lieutenant George and Tony Robinson's endearing Baldrick. Although there were early concerns that making jokes about World War I might be offensive, the series managed to strike a powerful and respectful balance. The impact was immediate and lasting. The show won the 1990 BAFTA for Best Comedy Series, while Rowan earned the award for Best Light Entertainment Performance. In later polls, it consistently ranked among Britain's greatest sitcoms, placing second in a 2004 BBC survey with more than 280,000 votes. The finale, featuring the characters charging into no man's land in slow motion, became one of the most haunting endings in television history. Behind the scenes, the cast shared an atmosphere of unusual warmth and trust. Rowan, Hugh Laurie, and Stephen Fry frequently improvised, relying on a chemistry Rowan later said could never be recreated. For him, this project was the least stressful of his career, as everyone shared the emotional weight together. Then came Mr. Bean. The first episode aired on January 1, 1990, attracting 13.45 million viewers. Rowan had developed the character years earlier at Oxford, creating a nearly silent figure whose comedy could work in any country. The show exploded worldwide, selling to 245 nations, with episodes such as The Trouble with Mr. Bean drawing nearly 19 million viewers in the UK alone. Yet while audiences around the world laughed, Rowan struggled privately. He admitted that portraying Mr. Bean was emotionally exhausting. Because the character spoke so little, Rowan had to rely entirely on physical performance, pushing his facial expressions and body movements to their limits. The strain left him drained after every shoot, and he often looked forward to filming ending. For Rowan, playing Mr. Bean was not joy, it was pressure. Despite this, the franchise continued to grow. In 1997, the Bean movie earned more than $251 million worldwide, breaking UK box office records even before it premiered in the United States. However, the success only deepened Rowan's fatigue from carrying the character. Relief came in 2002 with Mr. Bean, the animated series. Voicing the character proved far easier, allowing the franchise to remain alive without damaging his health. The animated version flourished with younger audiences and continued producing new episodes into 2024. In 2012, Rowan made one final major appearance as Mr. Bean during the London Olympics. Nearly 27 million people watched in the UK, with 900 million viewers worldwide. It became one of the most viral moments of the ceremony, but the physical demands left Rowan exhausted for weeks. Many fans now view that performance as Mr. Bean's true farewell. In his personal life, Rowan Atkinson met Sunetra Sastry in the late 1980s while she was working as a makeup artist on Blackadder. He even changed makeup artists just to have the chance to speak with her, a move that reportedly disappointed Stephen Fry, who had hoped to ask her out himself. Rowan and Sunetra married on February 5, 1990, in New York, with Fry serving as best man. They later had two children, Lily, born in 1993, and Benjamin, born in 1995. For nearly 24 years, their marriage appeared stable and strong. However, in 2014, everything unraveled. Rowan and Sunetra separated, and their divorce was finalized in 2015. Around the same time, Rowan quietly began a relationship with actress Louise Ford, who was 27 years younger. The news sparked widespread headlines and reportedly left Sunetra devastated. Louise had ended her relationship with comedian James Acaster to be with Rowan, adding further fuel to the scandal. In 2017, Rowan and Louise welcomed their daughter, Isla, making him a father again at the age of 62. Yet one of the most dramatic moments of Rowan's life occurred long before any tabloid controversy. In 2001, while flying over Kenya with his family, their private pilot fainted mid-flight. With no formal flight training, Rowan grabbed the controls and managed to keep the plane steady until the pilot regained consciousness and safely landed in Nairobi. It was a rare glimpse of real-life calm and courage from a man best known for chaos and slapstick comedy. Rowan surprised many in 2012 when he delivered a speech in Parliament defending freedom of speech. He argued that too many things were labeled offensive and the law should protect challenging ideas, not silence them. The clip went viral, and although some activists criticized him for defending what they considered harmful speech, the law was eventually changed. Years later, Rowan sparked another firestorm. In June 2023, he wrote a Guardian article saying electric vehicles were not as environmentally friendly as people believed and actually produced far more emissions during manufacturing. The piece was heavily criticized by scientists, especially after it emerged that Rowan owned an extensive collection of supercars. Lawmakers even argued that his article contributed to a dip in EV sales across the UK. When Disney offered him the role of Zazu in The Lion King, 1994, Rowan didn't want to do it, but accepted anyway. His performance became unforgettable and the film made $968 million worldwide. Fans missed him when he didn't return for the 2019 remake. In later interviews, Rowan admitted how difficult the Mr. Bean character had been for him. In 2018 on The Graham Norton Show, he said filming was emotionally exhausting and that he constantly felt he wasn't good enough. For years, he has gone back and forth on whether he will ever play Bean again, saying in 2012 he wanted to retire the character, later saying he wouldn't and eventually admitting Bean was unlikely to return. But never say never. In 2022, at age 67, he starred in Man vs. Bee, a return to physical comedy. Though short and silly, the series reminded him and audiences just how demanding slapstick had become on his aging body. Rowan turned 70 on January 6, 2025. Fans around the world celebrated the milestone, sharing clips and wondering if he would finally step back from physical comedy entirely. The numbers speak for themselves. By 2025, the official Mr. Bean YouTube channel had 35 million subscribers, 12 billion views, and earned up to $232,000 a month. Mr. Bean had become one of the most recognizable comedy characters worldwide. In 2024, a long-running fan theory was confirmed in the animated series. Mr. Bean was actually an alien, something hinted at since the original series' opening sequence. Even Rowan had teased the idea back in 1993. Fans were delighted that the mystery was finally made canon. Despite constant self-doubt, Rowan's awards paint a different picture. Across his career, he earned 12 major awards, including BAFTAs, an Emmy, and a Laurence Olivier Award, and 18 nominations. From Not the 9 O'Clock News to Blackadder to Mr. Bean, he helped shape modern comedy more than he ever admits. For the world, Rowan Atkinson is a legend. For him, he's still just trying to live up to the work.